the first time in 53 years, the New York Knicks are world champions. I'm Jason Page. Welcome to this Sports Wrap special. After the Knicks defeat the San Antonio Spurs 94-90 in Game 5 of the NBA Finals to close out the series in 5 games. And look, I mean, this was sort of the games that we've seen throughout this series, not to this degree in terms of the low volume of scoring, but defensive in nature, very physical, I think crossing the line in a lot of cases in terms of the physicality in this series. But ultimately, every game seemed to play out the same way, with the exception of Game 3, where the Knicks didn't have the answers down the stretch, and that was New York was just better in the big moments. And I know that's so simplistic, right? But if you go back and watch this entire series, as I'm sure Knicks fans will probably be doing for a while, that is what you get out of this series. Credit to TNT and Ernie Johnson. They put up the stat. And it's something to the effect of the Spurs led for 178 minutes of the series. The Knicks led for like 56 minutes of the series, something to that degree. I mean, that's crazy. And that just speaks to the fact that while the Spurs were better for larger stretches of these games, they simply weren't better in the moments that mattered most. It felt like they led. In fact, they may have led going to the fourth quarter of every single game of this series. They could have won it in 5 games just as easily as they lost it in 5 games. And that's why a lot of people are going to point to the experience or lack thereof on this San Antonio team as reasoning, logic for why the Knicks were able to shine better in those bigger moments. We got some of the highlights from it here, courtesy of ABC and ESPN. What a fantastic finish by Jalen Brunson. He completes the NBA Finals MVP run with a 45-point performance. I mean, look, he will be up there in the all-time, history of the smalls to play this game. We always talk about this age of the NBA, the bigs and what they do. Well, a guy that's a foot and a half shorter than Victor Wembanyama is the Finals MVP, and his team came out on the winning end. 14 of 27 shooting at those 45 points, 4 of 7 from 3 in the game, and he was half of the Knicks' offense. 45 of their 94 points coming from Jalen Brunson in this game. And I hate to pick on Victor Wembanyama. I hate to do it, because all you have to do is go back and look through our Sports Wrap shorts, watch me on TV, 270 affiliates around the country, just making that known. Or, just watch some of the videos and conversation we've been having here throughout the season. I'm as big a Wemby fan as any. But the fact of the matter is, in the biggest moments of this series, he either made mistakes, Game 2, throwing the ball off of Stephon Castle's back, or every other game where he just disappeared. And that's hard to do when you're 7'5". He disappeared in the biggest moments of these games. And there's no getting around that. I think the offensive rebound from Mitchell Robinson in the last minute of the game on a box out, when you have the Knicks shooting a free throw and Wemby's already got position and Mitchell Robinson pulls down that rebound, that is all you need to know about where the game for Wemby is going to have to grow. And if you're other teams around the league watching this, Mitchell Robinson, while being a great defensive player, is not the guy you would think of as the shutdown Wemby guy. And Wemby got his points in this series, and he got his rebounds, and he got his blocks. But Mitchell Robinson made it hard on him. Now, officiating in the series and officiating in the postseason at large has to come under the microscope as well, because the way these games were played in the playoffs, they would not be allowed to play that way in the regular season, because there'd be nobody left standing by the time you get to the playoffs if you allowed them to play this way during the regular season. That is something the NBA has to answer for. That is something they need to be held to account for. I don't know if anybody will do it in the national media, but we're going to do it here, because the officiating, while consistently atrocious, it was atrocious. to allow the level of physicality and to allow the lack of freedom of movement, which is a big term the NBA likes to use, that is a big deal. Push that to the side for a moment, though. Push that aside to the side for a moment as we watch the highlights of this Knicks win, 94-90, as they win their first NBA championship in 53 years. Knicks win. Brunson, again, Mount Rushmore of the all-time smalls to play the game. Isaiah Thomas. Think of Allen Iverson. But think of smalls that have won titles. And outside of Isaiah, show me the smalls that have won titles and done what Jalen Brunson did, carrying the Knicks in so many instances, even when he wasn't shooting the ball well. In the key moments, he showed up big. And start to sort of, look ahead. I was talking about this with my friend Vladimir Lewis, who works on WQAM in Miami. Does a great job down there. Produced my show for years at NBC Sports. And I had this conversation with various people throughout the week in anticipation that the Knicks were going to win this championship, especially once they got up 3-1, winning Game 4 the way they did. I thought they'd win it in 6. They win it in 5. I'm happy to be wrong this time. This is likely. A lot of times when teams win championships, you watch the post game, all this stuff, and you start talking about, is this the start of a run for, this given team? You're not going to hear that about this Knicks team. You're not going to hear talk of a run. Now it's the Knicks' turn to win, 3 in 5 years or 2 in 4 years or win back-to-back titles. Nope. This team was built to win now. And they won one now. And if they don't win another for another 30 years, I think Knicks fans would be okay because they got this one. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't discuss the fact that everything, and I say this as a Knicks fan, there's a Patrick Ewing basketball right behind me. I am as big a Knicks fan as you will find. I suffered through John Starks in 94 in Game 7. 99 when Ewing gets hurt right before the NBA Finals and misses out on the Knicks potentially winning a championship. And they fall to the Spurs in 5 games. Big a Knicks fan as anybody. But if I gave you, Shaq's money and said, go put it on a team to win the NBA championship in 2027, you're not picking the Knicks. You're not. And I'm not picking the Knicks because I don't think they're the best team going into next season. I don't even know if they're the best team in the East going into next season. Because remember, Boston's going to get healthy. They're going to get right. They're going to reconstitute sort of what that thing looks like. I know Detroit's not in the picture. I know Cleveland's not in the picture. Knicks are 1 or 2 in the East when you match them up. But you think of everything that had to go right. No Detroit in their way. No Boston in their way. No Oklahoma City. And an inexperienced Spurs team. And by the way, I was the first one to say, and I'll take a hit, I was the first one to say that I didn't believe the experience thing would matter after a team played 100 and some odd games, or roughly 100 games going into the NBA Finals together. I didn't think the experience would matter in the NBA Finals, especially after we saw them beat Oklahoma City. The experience mattered in the Finals. Even with experienced guys like De'Aaron Fox and making the boneheaded play he made in Game 4. But you're not picking the Knicks to win the championship next year. And that's okay. Not everything has to be talk of a dynasty and being dynastic and winning 3 in 5 years and place in history and all this stuff. They got one now, and I'm going to enjoy it. But I'm also not going to delude myself into believing that just because they won a championship this year, this is suddenly the Knicks era of NBA basketball. Because I don't believe that to be true. I'd still take San Antonio or Oklahoma City over the Knicks to win a championship next year. And that's not putting down the Knicks. You can say that honestly. Spurs are only going to get better. They're going to be a year older, a year wiser. From the bench with Mitch Johnson through that lineup, Castle, Harper, all the way up the ladder to Wemby, the guys that are around that group. You think they're just going to rest on their laurels? Of course not. And by the way, this series didn't come down to De'Aaron Fox and the boneheaded play in Game 4. It came down to late game execution and lack thereof from this Spurs team. And again, lack of maturity. And the Knicks executing at the highest level. And having the best player on the floor in Jalen Brunson. Those things help. But ask yourself that question. Do you pick the Knicks to win it all next year? Of course you don't. You know it, I know it. Could they? Sure, if everything goes right. They're a year more confident. They've got this experience behind them. Maybe it unleashes them. Maybe they're even in the NBA Finals next year. But remember, a year ago, we were saying all of this about Oklahoma City. Remember what everybody was saying? Oh, are the Thunder about to go on a run? They're going to win a bunch of championships. They didn't even make it to the finals. They lost twice on their home floor against an inexperienced San Antonio Spurs team. Yes, they had some injuries. They also had Chet Holmgren playing like hot garbage. You don't know the way these things are going to go. I'm just saying, set your expectations in a realistic spot if you are a Knicks fan going into next season. Because they're going to be good. I mean, this team won 53 games this year. It wasn't a murderer's row. They didn't win 60. They were the 3rd seed in the East behind a Celtics team that played most of the year without Jason Tatum. And obviously behind the Pistons, who we knew were a flawed team. Built for the regular season, not built for the playoffs. Let me know what you think in the comments. And again, before you start banging on me and getting mad and writing nasty grams, I'm the biggest Knicks fan around. I'm just saying, be realistic about where this goes from here. Enjoy this. The parade down the Canyon of Heroes. I'll be watching from afar. I wish I could be there with all of you. I was in tears watching them celebrate this championship on Saturday night. But we also have to have an honest conversation about how we got here and where we go from here, while enjoying this in the moment. I think you can do all three of those things. All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you on the TV side on Monday. Check your local listing for time and schedule, or head over to sportswrap.tv. Our new website is up. You can find your affiliate there. You can check out Sports Wrap Shorts. You can check out the podcast. You can check out everything there is about Sports Wrap at sportswrap.tv. We've got everything on the social media platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Insta, Facebook. It's all over. You can't miss us. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing, depending on who you are. I'm Jason Page. That wraps it up. We'll see you next time.